so we're going to finish off the third page now, and to do that I've just gathered some supplies together. I've got two different size fonts that I'm going to use, lettering that I'm going to use. I'm going to use the cream colour here and this brown sort of thicker lettering. I'll be doing my journaling with my pens. I will be doing a bit of inking, so I'll show you a bit more inking. And I think I've shown you these cut out bits before. I went through and cut these out earlier with my die cutting machine, and I'm going to show you the die cutting machine and how it all works. But because this has sat here for a little bit and I've had time to think about it, I'm really not happy using the black colour with the browns, and so what I'm going to do is just cut another set and replace the black with some brown, and that's what this paper's for. So if you think back to the page that we created, we had the big piece, so the pattern paper backing, and then a bigger matte piece, and then the strip running the length of the page, and then the two landscape photos. And so what I'm going to do to finish this off is fairly simple. I'm going to use stacks of these, sort of just building them up one on top of the other, something like that. But I'm going to show you how to cut and emboss these to add a bit more dimension to things. And then and we're going to place them on the page down here to embellish the page, and we're going to add a title and journaling. So it's going to be a fairly quick and easy, simple finish to this page. But let me first of all talk about the die cutting machine and show you how it works. And to explain, it took me a while to work out actually what these machines did and how to use them. So this is a Sizzix Big Shot, and what you can do is actually use these metal cutters, and they're just stored on some magnetic backing. So this is a cutter, and you can cut, you know, all sorts of things. You can cut fabric and felt and cardstock and paper with these by rolling it through the machine, and the pressure will actually do the cutting because there's just an edge here that will do the cutting. But not only does it do that, it also embosses. So it dry embosses. There's two different types of embossing. One where you use a stamp pad and you put some powder on top and then you heat it up, and that's called wet embossing. This one here actually uses pressure to force imprints into the cardboard or the paper. And this is called dry embossing, and you use this machine for that. So these machines will cut and emboss both, and so I'll show you how to do that in this machine. So the first thing you do when you're going to cut and emboss is cut first. So the first thing I'll do is get the sizes that I want to use, and so these are the ones that I'm going to work with, and I'll just put the others out of the way for now. And you can see that this mat here is hopefully fairly crusty. It's been cut on quite a lot compared to this one here, and I try and keep this one as the one that I cut on. And this is the bit of paper that I want to use. Now the first thing I have to do is make sure that it's small enough to fit through the centre of the machine here, and so I'll just cut that down a fraction before we start. And so what we're going to do is the paper goes down, and then the edge, the cutting edge, one side's flat and the other side's just got this little bit of a cutting edge on it, goes down onto the cutting surface. And if you buy one of these machines, it actually explains to you how what combinations of these things that you need to use. There's a platform here that you put through, and this will open up, and I'll show you what that does when we get to the embossing. But for die cutting, we just need this one here. We put the one on top, and they talk about this being a sandwich. and you can just feed it through by twisting the handle. Sometimes it makes lots of cracking noises and you think, oh my goodness, what's happening? That's all right, that's just what it does. And I've seen quite a few videos where that happens. And then you can see, you can just pop out the shapes and the cutters then come away. And so I can put the cutters away for next time I want to use them. And now we've got our shapes. We've got 4 shapes here that we're going to use on the page. But what I want to do with all of the plain round shapes is actually to emboss them. So I'll just get all those together now, if I can. Of course, I don't want the black ones anymore. And hopefully we will have 2 of each colour. What am I missing? The yellow. Okay, so I've got 2 of each colour. I've actually got extra green one there. So I've got 2 of each colour, and you notice when I cut this out I've actually missed a bit of the edge, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Okay, so what I want to do is now to dry emboss these shapes. And to do that, I've got a couple of different embossing folders, these are called, and I don't know how well you can see this one. This one's got different shaped, I've chosen round circles for all of them. This one here has got a different round circle that I can put the shape onto, and this one, I really like this one. I haven't used this yet, but this one is just some different colour, different size circles here, and so that should emboss up really nicely. The thing to look at is one side sort of fits into the other side when you close them up, and so you need to think about which is the right side and which is the wrong side and which way you want things to go, so when you put the paper in. So let's have a go at the first one, and I'll choose a few of these. So I want the circly bits to be pushing up, so I'm putting them in so that I will get that effect here. And I might just do those 2 in this one now, just to have a look. So I'm sort of trying to put them where they will be centered correctly, or close enough. I don't have to be too fussy about this. And then we open this up, and it actually has instructions here saying if we're using one of these folders, and I've lost a circle. Where'd it go? Aha. So you can see here it's telling you that on this surface here is where you use your embossing folder, and so you will use your sandwich, and it's come out again. It obviously doesn't want to stay there at all. So again, you use your sandwich, you put your clear one down, you put your embossing folder in, and you top it off with the top of the sandwich. Hopefully things are still in place well enough. I'll just adjust this one. Okay. And just like we did before, we just turn the handle and feed it on through. And I usually bring it back through, or you can just take it out the other end, whatever you prefer. And you'll see here that we now have embossed patterns on the paper, and you can see here, because this is paper, it's actually torn a little bit. I'm not going to worry about that because that will be the bottom one, and you're probably not going to see very much of that at all. So I'll choose another embossing folder to do some more, and So what have we got? I'll choose this one, and maybe one more, maybe a brown one on this one here. So just putting it where it's going to get some interesting embossing happening. And again, just feed it on through. And back. And we can see here that we've got the embossing happening on these other pieces as well. And the last one we'll put through. So this will just give it more dimension and depth when we actually stack them up on the page. And one more to do, and then we've finished our embossing. With this one it's a bit easier, we don't have to worry too much, there's lots of circles everywhere, so it's a lot easier to put it in. And that's basically how these machines work. So they're lots of fun. I like them for adding texture and lovely shapes that you can get. There's some just beautiful shapes that you can get to die cut, and I really love playing with this machine. Okay, so I'll just get organised now and we'll move on to the next step. What I've done here is actually made up the stacks and sort of looked, so I've got one of each colour in each stack. I probably am not going to need all four. At this stage I'm thinking I'll only use 3. And what I've done in these 3 piles is actually gone through and inked all the edges, and you can see there's a difference hopefully between if we compare this to this. This is embossed green, this is embossed green, but I've inked this one and I haven't inked this one, so hopefully you can see the difference there. And so all I've done to do the other ones is use the little Versamark pine cone colour ink pad. This one's reasonably dry at the moment. You can get refills to top up the pad, so you don't have to buy a new one each time, but there's enough on this to do it. And what I wanted to show you is where we've got the white penetrating through here. All the brown ones I have inked, even though they're brown, and that's because they've got the white core in the center, so the center of the paper is white. And so what you want to do is just, as much as possible, just bring it up so that that white is covered up, and so that there's a lot less white there now than there was before. And these ones here, all I do is just brush the ink pad across the edges to give it a bit of colour, and that helps to define the shape when it's on the page and give you more depth as well. And so you can see here, all I need to do is brush where the embossing is, and the edges will pick up the brown, and so that embossing will be a lot easier to see. Now I'll just do the last one and we'll glue those together and get these on the page, and we're nearly done. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is use my blue Tombow again, and just a dab in the middle to join them up and just stack them up one on top of the other. They don't have to be centered. I've decided for these ones that I will center them as much as I can, but they don't have to be. And then we'll put the next layer on, and then the top layer, and just build up an embellishment to use on the page. So the scalloped circle and the round circle are very close in size, so you just need to be a little bit careful about how you position those on top of one another. them aside to dry a bit while I finish them off. You don't need to glue them all the way to the edges. This is going to hold well and truly well enough as it is. Last one. And you can see here I've inked this brown one, but the centre's still got quite a bit of white showing through, but because it's underneath the other two layers, it's not going to be a problem, because you really are not going to see any of it. You can avoid getting those tears in it if you use a heavier paper, and also if you're once you've used the embossing folders a bit, they lose the sharpness just a little bit, and so it doesn't cut into the paper quite as much. And so what I want to do is I want to use 3 of these, and I'm thinking I'll use it sort of like that, but I'm thinking I might do it more using the yellow and red, just to decorate at 3 points down the page here. So I don't think that I'll be using this one on this page anywhere, but that can go into my supplies, and there might be a perfect page to put it on later. What I want to do is add my title up here, and so I'll just put that on now, and I will journal over the top of the stamp that we put here, and that will be the page done. So these are just thicker lettering stickers, and they've got a bit of dimension. I quite like the colour of these and the shape of the font. If I could get it out of the bag, we'd be doing well. Okay. Okay, so I want my title to end over here, and I'll build the title up from there. So I will just start and work backwards with my title. Hopefully I can spell correctly working backwards. Always have a problem with that. It's a bit crooked. I'll just pull this one up and straighten it up a bit. Okay, so I want to say confidence is success, and I'm just having a look at this to see how I'm going to go about that. And I originally thought what I'd do is do confidence is and then success, but I might just see how that goes with the smaller letters and just see how we go. I'm certainly going to need my With these, I never stress too much about getting them totally straight because I've never been able to do it. I just line them up and let them sort of, unless they're really crooked, wherever they land is basically what we end up with. And I don't overthink it too much. And I just sort of lay them down and hope for the best. And I find because they're just these little tile stickers that it's really not too distracting in the long term. And I've just realised that I can't spell backwards, so I have to go back and fix success up. But we'll fix that, that's no problems. So I'll just remove these. You'll love the, if you get a tool like this, I don't know what the proper name for it is, but I call it a pokey tool, and everyone knows what I mean, but it's great for if you need to lift things that are stuck down. Gives you a bit of room to work. And of course success has 2 C's in it. So you can see how easy it is to go back and fix things up with these letters. So they are forgiving, which is really good because I need lots of forgiveness when it comes to these things. So now my choice is, do I put a is in the same letters as success, or do I do confidence is here? So I'll just try it with the small letters, which is what I was thinking of doing originally. And the other way would be to put it there. I think I do like it with the small one rather than the large one. I'll just put the S on so you can have a look. It would be here, and the I would be before it, so I think it is starting to get too much. I'm liking that we're starting to get that diagonal line through there with this, so I just might leave it like that, just putting the embellishments on. So what I'm going to do is aim for the middle one to go where the photos join. And so I want to try and cross over as many layers as I can. So you can see here I'm placing it so that it's come off of here, and that way you get the connection between all the different layers. And so now we need to line these up a little bit and sort of going for the top third maybe of this page, of this photo, and the last one needs to go down to the bottom third. And again, making sure that we cross all those layers to about the same level to get them all down. So I'll just add a bit more glue to this one. Sometimes you need to just press it a little bit to keep it happening. Okay, and so the last thing I will do is just put in my journaling, and I'm going to call this page done. And to do that, I'm just going to use the brown texture pen and just write a short story about how my grandson has to have a go at most things that his dad does. His dad came over and was doing some juggling, and Blake just had to jump in and have a go. And you might not be able to see it really well in this photo, but the look on his face is just gorgeous. He's so happy and so pleased with himself. So that's just what I'm going to write about. This is the third page finished. It's a rather quick and easy finish off, but I think it works. So just one more page and then we're finished this series, and looking forward to thinking up something new and exciting to do for the next set of videos. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to making the last page for you soon.